Morning breaks over the desert skies of Iraq, January 19, 1991. High above the sand and smoke, the air war of Operation Desert Storm unfolds as a carefully choreographed ballet of speed, technology, and nerve. At the front edge of that ballet, two F-15C Eagles cut through the thin air at altitude, engines steady, radars searching. In the lead cockpit sits Cesar Rodriguez, known by his call sign Rico. Off his wing flies Craig Underhill, Mole. Their task is deceptively simple. Clear the sky ahead of a massive strike package moving toward targets near Baghdad. 36 aircraft follow behind them, including waves of F-16s that peel off and dive, releasing 2,000-pound bombs onto Iraqi ammunition depots. The desert erupts in towering plumes of fire and debris. Everyone expects the usual response: surface-to-air missiles, anti-aircraft fire. The F-16s pull hard and climb away, releasing chaff and flares in practiced reflex. But this time, something else stirs in the Iraqi airspace. Instead of missiles, the Iraqi Air Force commits its most capable fighters, MiG-29 Fulcrums, sleek, fast, and dangerous. They represent the sharpest edge of Iraq's aerial defense. Outnumbered and cautious, their pilots have stayed back, probing for weakness. Now, the report comes through. Only two F-15s are guarding the strike. For the Iraqi pilots, it feels like opportunity. The Fulcrums accelerate, closing the distance. In Rico's headset, the calm voice of his airborne controller, Mark White, breaks the quiet. Two hostile contacts, bearings and distances follow. Rico doesn't hesitate. He selects the more immediate threat, rolls the Eagle toward it, and calls the engagement. The F-15's radar paints a contact ahead. On another screen, a stark symbol appears: 29. His radar warning receiver is telling him exactly what he's facing: a MiG-29. Both sides now know the other is there. Two pairs of fourth-generation fighters rush toward one another in a supersonic joust, closing miles in seconds. Rico arms an AM-7 Sparrow missile, designed for long-range engagements, dependent on a steady radar lock. The Iraqi pilots respond with skill. They dive low, skimming toward the ground, trying to hide in radar clutter. For a moment it seems to work. Then the single contact splits cleanly into two. Rico smiles grimly. 2 against 2. He locks one target. In the MiG cockpit, alarms wail. Then, suddenly, silence. The Iraqi pilots bank sharply, slipping into a blind spot in the F-15's radar. On Rico's screen, the contacts vanish. This isn't luck. It's doctrine. Older pulse Doppler radars struggle with targets crossing perpendicular to their path. The Fulcrums exploit this weakness perfectly, flickering in and out of detection. Rico waits, patient, knowing that firing now would be pointless. The Sparrow needs continuous guidance, and the MiGs are denying it. Contact, lost, contact, lost. They are being led somewhere. At the same time, Mark White watches the geometry unfold from far above. The F-15s push forward, edging out of his assigned sector. Protocol demands he hand them off to another controller, but he keeps glancing back at their radar picture. The reason becomes clear in Rico's cockpit as his radar warning receiver begins to chirp, then chatter, then scream. Ahead lies Baghdad's defensive ring. An entire field of S-125 Neva surface-to-air missiles lights up the sky electronically. The MiGs aren't fleeing, they're herding. "They're dragging us into the city's anti-air," Mole says. Rico listens to the strike frequency. The F-16s are still inbound, still vulnerable. If he breaks off now, the MiGs will pounce on the bomb-laden jets below. Rico makes a decision that will define the fight. They hold course. They maintain altitude and keep pressure on the Fulcrums, deliberately edging closer to the missile envelope, buying precious minutes for the strike force to finish its run. Every sweep of enemy radar sends a sharp click through Rico's headset. The warning tones grow faster, more urgent. Unseen by the F-15s, a third fulcrum enters the picture. This one approaches silently from the side, radar off, invisible to the Eagle's warning systems and outside the narrow field of its forward-facing radar. It is a classic ambush. Mark White sees it immediately. 18 miles, 17, 16. The F-15s don't react. White hesitates. Controllers are trained not to clutter a pilot's mind in the middle of a fight. But the range closes. 15 miles, 14. He can't stay silent. Pop-up contact, 330 degrees, 13 miles. Rico reacts instantly. External fuel tanks fall away as he yanks the Eagle into a hard turn, vapor streaming from the wings. The moment his nose swings toward the threat, the contact blooms on his radar. 8 miles. Now both pilots know. The Iraqi pilot powers up his radar. Rico's warning receiver shrieks as the lock snaps on. Rules of engagement flash through Rico's mind. Inside 10 miles, targets must be visually identified. Friendly stealth aircraft could be operating in the area. Even now, with danger seconds away, discipline holds. Rico rolls inverted and dives, dumping chaff, trying to break the lock. The warning doesn't stop. The ground races up toward him at the speed of sound. Above him, Mole fights his own clock. He locks the target and runs identification checks with supporting intelligence assets. Seconds stretch unbearably. Clearance comes. Fox 1. The Sparrow leaps from the rail, its smoke trail slicing past Rico's aircraft. He watches it streak forward, sees the MiG nose down, lining up a shot that never comes. The missile slams into the fulcrum head-on, erupting in a flash of fire and debris. The sky is suddenly empty. Rico pulls out of the dive, barely 500 feet above the desert. But the fight isn't finished. Mark White's voice cuts back in. Another group, 10 miles north. The strike package is already withdrawing, but the enemy is close enough to threaten from behind. Rico turns to meet them. Radar contact appears just beyond 10 miles. Identification checks begin. Something feels wrong. Mole's systems flag the contact as friendly. A diamond replaces the hostile symbol on his scope. A chill runs through him. Rico doesn't trust it. He presses in, choosing to see with his own eyes. The two aircraft close head-on. Rico stays low, then pulls up hard. At 50 feet of separation, the truth is unmistakable. Green camouflage, Iraqi markings, a MiG-29. The fight collapses into a visual dogfight, raw and immediate. Rico rolls inverted and pulls with everything he has, cutting inside the MiG's turn. 10 times the force of gravity crushes him into his seat. The fulcrum flashes past. They spiral downward together, trading altitude for angles. High above, Mole watches, ready to intervene, but Rico refuses the help. He feels the advantage building. The MiG dives again, desperate for speed. Rico follows, the desert floor rising fast. They merge once more. G-forces blur his vision as he hauls the nose around. The fulcrum slides into his sights. Rico selects an AM-9 Sidewinder. The tone begins to growl. The Iraqi pilot makes a final gamble. He rolls inverted and dives straight for the sand. Rico breaks away, instinct screaming that this is beyond safe limits. The MiG tries to pull out. The ground fills the cockpit. The aircraft exceeds its limits, and in a heartbeat, metal and pilot vanish into the desert. Silence returns. Mole slides into position off Rico's wing. The danger is past. The sky is clear. Rico exhales. That morning over Iraq, skill, restraint, and seconds decided everything. In a clash between equals, same generation, similar capabilities, human judgment tipped the balance. By the end of his career, Cesar Rico Rodriguez would be credited with 3 aerial victories, a rare tally in the age of modern air combat. On that January day, high above the desert, History was written not in headlines, but in fleeting radar contacts, measured decisions, and the thin line between control and chaos.